Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. I want to help people not give up looking for a wife, considering overseas. I married a woman from the Philippines in 2015. And so please subscribe here if you're interested in knowing more and more of the inside of those relationships and how to help get along and make it work. And I am very concerned about young people. I was young once, couldn't find a wife. And then you get in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and it becomes seemingly even harder. So something for younger people, whether they're looking overseas or not, is this idea of cohabiting causing or not helping you to have a good marriage. Cohabitation works against having a good marriage. The better marriages, statistics say, come from people that do not live together before marriage. And this is coming from aleteia.org. I want to give them credit. Aleteia, aleteia.org. Good article. It says many couples live together before marriage, but it turns out this approach often leads to a lot of pain and heartbreak. There's a general assumption, they say, so widespread that it no longer requires demonstration, that in order to have a high quality and lasting marriage, it's necessary first to finish college, start a successful career, and then look for a partner with the same qualifications. This, video and this article is about getting married younger and not cohabitating. Despite the ease of divorce, marriage is still perceived as being characterized by exclusivity, fidelity, and permanence. Sounds great. As a consequence, another idea that has become widely shared and promoted before embarking on such a definitive commitment is to give the relationship a trial run, a test drive first, a period of cohabitation to see how being together within the same walls works when you have shopping and chores to do, work commitments to juggle, perhaps already a child to raise. And I have always said that you really don't get to know that person that you married from another country until you're living with them or anywhere. It's when you're under the same roof for real that you really get to learn and grow. But I don't think that applies to cohabitation. They say multiple choices is the worst choice. Willingly or unwillingly, we have borrowed this popular approach to marriage from a consumer mindset. Before confirming a purchase, I need to test whether the product or service meets my expectations. But the sociological research shows that this is not the best approach when it comes to marriage. More partners, less commitment. And they have a quote from psychologist Galena Rhodes. She studies young adult relationships and says, we generally think that having more experience is better. But what we find for relationships, just the opposite. Having more experience was related to having a less happy marriage later on. For example, we found that people who had been married before, people who had lived with a boyfriend or girlfriend before, and having had more sexual partners before marriage, were each associated with having lower marital quality later on. She cites various possible reasons for this. For example, constantly comparing with alternatives and having had experience breaking up in previous relationships can weaken commitment. And I read that a couple times in a row, and I thought, you know what? That's pretty astute. And please let me hear your comments on this topic. Getting married younger, not cohabitating before marriage. And they say the old model is the most effective one. And somebody named W. Bradford Wilcox here is quoted in another article saying, many young adults today believe cohabitation is a pillar of successful marriages. One reason why more than 70% of those who marry today live together before marriage. But the conventional wisdom here is wrong. Americans who cohabit before marriage are less likely to be happily married, more likely to break up. Couples who cohabitated were 15% more likely to get divorced than those who did not, according to their research, a Stanford study citing other research finding that the link between cohabitation and divorce was especially strong for women who cohabited with someone besides their future husband. And I'm going to talk now about my thoughts on this. Obviously I want people to get married and stay married. I see no reason to do any test drives. I didn't test drive my wife. Not that anybody has to do anything the way I did. I married her in 54 days after I met her, online, almost 10,000 miles away. 55 days before we were married, we didn't know the other existed. I didn't even know where her country was, or anything about it, or anything about anything. I just wanted to get married, and I tried the Philippines and met her online, proposed on day 18. We got married on day 54, and we're still married 7 years and 8 months later. What a growing experience. I'm afraid if we had cohabitated somehow before marriage, she would have seen what I was really like. And maybe I would have got a glimpse into some things that might happen later. And I might have said, you know what, this doesn't, gel with what I want. And, when you're married, if you are married, then you don't have a safety net. You have to work things out. And I'm not ashamed to say, I think the burden on that falls on the husband. Make it work out. What do you have to do more of, less of, better? What do you have to change? How do you have to be more patient? But, make it last. And I have lots of things in my videos here on Love Beyond the Sea about that. But once it's for real, it's for real. And people cohabitating can say, well, we're married. We're not technically married, but we really are. No, you're really not. You're living with somebody, either one of you can see anybody else you want, and anybody can try to get in on you anytime because you're not married. Not married at all. And when you're living together outside of marriage, I'm sure there's still a tendency, since you're still single, to have a single mindset. But there are no breaks from being married. There's no vacation from being married. Once you're married, you can't be unmarried and stay married. And so decisions need to be made that have to be made like you are a married couple, not a single man and a single woman living together. You're still single. There is no comparison in my mind, let me know what you think about this, between literally being married and cohabitating. I can see where cohabitation leads to more breakups, and because there's just no commitment. I know people say, well, I've seen her exclusively for 3 or 4 years, and we're living together, and I'm committed. I don't think so. Commitment means signing the dotted line of the marriage certificates. You're now legally married and subject to any of the risks thereof. And when you're under pressure like that, we tend to want to do whatever we have to do to keep that marriage going. That's how I feel about it. I'm married. I'm not living together. I kind of compare, don't get me wrong, but being single, and I was single until I was 53, being single is being like the minor leagues, and then getting married, it's the big leagues. That's when it's serious. And your decisions have to be made unselfishly, and you're going to have to do things you don't want to do. Like me, I have to live on a non-early bird schedule for the last 3 years and probably the rest of my life on my wife's second shift preference. She works second shift. She's going to college. She needs to work second shift, but she doesn't like to work first shift. So I can complain about it and cause trouble, or I can say, look, I'll bite the bullet. I'll be on adjust instead of going to bed at 9 and getting up at 5 or even earlier. We'll go to bed at 3 or 3:30, 4 o'clock, and get up at 11 or 10. I hate that, but you know what? I love my wife. I'll do that for her benefit. I'll take the discomfort because I know it'd be uncomfortable for her. And you just don't tend to do those things when you are single and cohabitating. You also haven't pooled your money, so you're still kind of handling the money like you're single. So I don't like this idea at all. I am for younger marriages, and I don't think you have to have all the answers figured out in life, and how are we going to pay for this, and got to go through school first. Your life can change for the worse. You get into sexual trouble while you're waiting to get married, and why stall? Just get married. Now, I would have got married a lot younger if I had the chance, but I wasn't able to until I met my wife in the Philippines through the website Christian Filipina. So let me know what you think about this. It's about getting married younger and avoiding cohabitation, and consider those things, whether or not you're looking for love beyond the sea.